Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Renton Reflects. Today I'm going to talk about Cartoon Network's very first miniseries, Over the Garden Wall. When this show first came on, I wasn't too interested in it, but recently, after a whole lot of convincing, I decided to check it out. And boy, do I not regret it. It is one of the best miniseries I have ever come across, let alone an animated one. The premise to it is very simple. Two half-brothers named Wirt and Greg get lost in the woods and come across some rather unusual characters and scenarios, all while trying to find their way home. This might sound a bit like Alice in Wonderland, but unlike Alice in Wonderland, which likes to playfully toy with logic at times, this show manages to retain the logic, not to mention having somewhat of a creepy vibe to some of the ideas that it presents. These adventures that the boys go on are not so ordinary. For example, there's an episode where they come across an old schoolhouse where there's a human female school teacher teaching to a group of animal children, and there's also a subplot involving an escaped gorilla. Now, just listening to all that may make it sound as though the idea is very far-fetched and would never work. But, given how well written and directed it all is, it actually works. That episode is just one example where you don't exactly question everything that goes on in the situation. You simply accept it for what it is and just go along with it. And much of the time, the boys do that, while also learning from their experiences. And that's another great thing about this show, the way it goes deep into character development. Wirt sees things from a more realistic point of view and is kind of a pessimist, while Greg, with his childlike imagination, is more of an optimist. That kind of dynamic duality between the two works wonderfully off each other, as they both frequently try to figure out a way out of the forest, building up the dramatic tension as the story progresses. Speaking of dramatic tension, conflict does come into play for the boys when an old man known as the Woodsman warns them to beware the beast. Even though the show doesn't go into full detail of who or what this beast is exactly, his intentions as a villain are still very grim, and the show manages to keep what we don't know about the beast a fascinating mystery, leaving audiences concerned for the boys in regards to the perils that they face in some of the episodes. Overall, it is a really great series. It's one of those shows that has such an intriguing sense of surrealism that you don't see in a lot of other animated fantasy tales, not to mention having that nostalgic storybook quality that really resonates. I'm not sure if this show would ever reach the same kind of iconic status as the original Alice in Wonderland story, but what I do know is because of how original, creative, funny, and smart it is for both kids and adults, this show deserves to be seen more. This is certainly a fantasy tale that's worth getting lost in. For my rating, I give this mini-series on a scale between 1 and 10, a 9. It's an excellent mini-series, and my only hope is that Cartoon Network makes more mini-series like this one in the near future. And by the way, this mini-series is available on DVD, and trust me when I say it is worth every penny. That, ladies and gentlemen, has been my review. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.